I am so not my dad, and I'm not a great speaker, so I have to write it and speak it. But hello, I'm Jackie Renault. I'm R18, rifle and flag. If you didn't know, we all had numbers when we marched in the drum corps. In my first year of university, I took my first social psych class. And when we walked in the door, the professor said, "You 40 people, you have an assignment. You have 15 minutes to meet everybody in the class. And in turn, you must tell everybody one different interesting fact about you." Sounds good, except it was a tiny little room. And when we were 10 minutes in, he said, "You have 5 more minutes left." And pipsqueak me couldn't see anything. So I got up in a chair, and I said, excuse me," and the room went silent. And 40 heads turned and swiveled, and I said, "Who hasn't met me yet?" 4 hands went up, and they came my way. And that's how I met some new people. So last night, I didn't have a plan, but I ended up standing at the door as everybody came in. And I think I could have cried because I knew everybody who came through the door. And that's the great thing about the ventures, is that we're all family and we all find each other when we need to. And that privilege and the journey I've had was all made possible because of Peter and Louise Vanderkoff and all the work they did to establish a strong base and a system of values for the organization to continue and to grow for 50 years. I had a little girl crush on Mr. V because he was so handsome, as well as a healthy fear and a respect for him. Never more so than when he stopped the entire corps 32 counts into a run to say, "Jackie Renault, get your knees up." I could have melted in the ground. The only other time that I stepped out of his graces and into his less favorable books was all John's fault. The Corps had had a day off in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and a bunch of us bought, the nose and glasses, mustache sort of thing. And the next day at rehearsal, before the last run, I don't know why I listened to him. He thought it would be funny for me to wear these nose and glasses for the last run. And so I did. And it's 1977, and the entire guard started in a file down the 50. So the first note of music, mark time hut, the flags come down, I was on rifle, the rifle goes up, so that happens, mark time hut, bum, 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 and there's me. Right there the way down, with my nose and glasses. And Mr. V didn't say anything. He just did his I'm a man on a mission walk out to the middle of the field. And if you know Mr. V, you know exactly what I'm talking about, how he walked. And John has exactly the same walk. If you see him out on the field with the blue coats, exactly same walk. It's weird. Anyways, he walked out, and all he did was put his hand out. And I took them off, and I handed it to him. And he went to the front, and he threw them on the ground. And when rehearsal was over, I was too scared and embarrassed to go and retrieve them, so I made the rat think, "John, go get them." But really, all of us in the ventures, all we ever wanted to do was make Mr. Vanderkoff proud of us. And I think that's one of the reasons we pretty much stayed in line. And there was nothing better than him sidling up next to you and putting his arm around you and saying, "You're doing good, kid. Hang in there." And it was even more better when I'd come out of my bedroom upstairs and down into our kitchen on Broadleaf and see him there at our kitchen table with my dad eating onion and summer sausage sandwiches and planning a trip or whatever. And I was so excited that Mr. Vanderkoff was in my house. And Mrs. V was always there too, being mom, taking care of us. And she was smart. She had her own little way of keeping us all in line. She continued to give us strength and security most when we needed it most. It's been my privilege to share and remind the next few generations of where they come from and who we expect them to be as Ventures. I'd like to say that we've had lots of second-generation Ventures in the Winter Guard, but we also had a third-generation Winter Guard family who are sitting back there. Kathy DeHaan, where are you, Kathy? One of our original Ventures. And her daughter marched in the Winter Guard, and then her granddaughter Hannah. I think you're our only third generation. Our Winter Guard also boasts the longest marching Venture member of all time, Jasmine, who spent 14 years spinning. And if I don't say it, she'll be mad, followed very closely by Jessie Barsoom back in the corner with 13 years and about 5 years teaching. I'm proud that to this day, our staff, just as Mr. V did, still refer to the girls as ladies. And it's just hilarious to go into the gym and see Big Greg with the tiny little cadet kids, ladies, when they're acting anything but ladies. But they listen and fall into line. Now, you know, the first time I met Greg was in 1994, and Tracy and I went out to meet with one of my old Venture instructors, Ron Bunyan. I adored that man. He had so many amazing, successful Winter Guards and was a bit of an idol. And so we went out to find him in Cambridge, and he was in his smoke-infested office, probably drinking his 15th cup of coffee for the day with Greg. So Tracy and I went out to see him about painting some backdrops, but instead we were quizzed as to why an organization like the Ventures, who had won DCI 5 times, was not having the same kind of success with a Winter Guard. And Tracy and I look at each other, our kids are like 9. But it did plant a seed, and it did give us reason to dream and to believe. And 5 years later, those little 9-year-olds were making finals at our first WGI that very same year with Greg, now on staff. Obviously, I've never walked this path alone, and I've always been blessed to have worked with so many wonderful and beautiful people. Jim, the sweetest man, the biggest heart, who only questioned me about my spending twice. Once when I got a speeding ticket on I-90 in Buffalo with the whole staff in my car going to a show. We lost the bus because it crossed a different border. Who knew? I didn't know there was 2 borders into Buffalo. What did I know? I was young. So we were in hot pursuit. He made sure that I knew that was going to be a one-time payment. And he was truly not a fan of the receipt I submitted for 2.5 grosses of pixie sticks. Like it was our toast before every show. And we had 40 kids across 3 guards, and, you know, that's a lot of pixie sticks. So he made sure that I knew he was not going to put a line item in the budget for candy. Kathy Barsoom, a true mentor and support to me. She still is. She always had creative ideas and ready to jump in anytime and anywhere I needed her. You know, and her girls haven't marched in many years, but we still drag her into the fold now and then. And Peter Miller, I might cry. Louisa's second Peter, and our president, and I really miss that man. He used to come upstairs to my office at New Techs every week or so just to check in, see what I needed, see what he could do for me. He always had a smile. It was winter, so he usually had his leather hat on and his agenda under his hand, which he never opened up. As a retired teacher and a principal, he had a wealth of advice on how to deal with the members and the parents, and he never, ever left without telling me a joke or a funny story, often about Louise and Suzanne and the adventures and the craziness they encountered on tour. I know. Anyway. And of course, countless staff members that we've had, most of whom came from within the Venture family and continue to today. Some who stayed for a few years, and some long enough to just make their mark, like Steve and Greg, who drive me nutty, Bridget Sinden, Sarah, Angela, and of course, my Laura Lou, who came to us as a 16-year-old in 1998 just to help out for a little bit and has never left the gym. Still coming out. She's got a demanding job, she's married, she's got 2 kids, and she has to do farm chores before she can come to practice. She is just my treasure and my sidekick. She adds a zest to life and so much energy into the gym. It's been 35 years of Winter Guard shows and about 69 programs and a ton of stories with each of them, and way too many memories for me to pick them out. But one is a little bit appropriate, I think, as we celebrate 50 years of the Ventures. It was the 2008 Circuit Championships. We had 3 guards, and our middle ladies had just moved up to the A1 class performing to spinning wheel. As they came off the floor, one of the ladies, I think she was about 12 at the time, came to walk beside me and said, with a big grin, "That was so much fun. I wish you could go out and do it all again." And you know, you don't always hear that from the kids. They just carry on. And it was sweet and sincere, and I never forgot it. And then in 2012, that same young lady excitedly said the exact same words again to me after their prelim run at the Pittsburgh WGI Regional. These are the little tiny moments that make my heart sing. And although I know she probably doesn't remember, I always do. Now flash forward to 2016. Excuse me. And I'm watching that little 12-year-old performing in DCI finals and earning a gold medal with the Blue Coats Drum Corps in a show designed by John Vanderkoff. And I think that's one of the coolest full circle moments. That's it. Can't say anymore. Oh, sit down, silly. Thank you. I didn't cry. I didn't cry.